On episode 42 of Confessions of a Marketer, we continue our chat about turning data into stories. We have Bill Burkart, president of Wonderment Data Management, back in this episode to talk about some real-world examples of turning data into stories. We'll get to that in just a moment. Next time, we have Jeremy Goldman in discussing the future of marketing. And soon, SuperUnion's Chief Creative Officer, Greg Quinton, will join us to discuss great design and more. And we'll also be joined soon by Beth Monahan of Inkhouse to discuss fear and the future of PR. And as I mentioned last time, I've got a new podcast I've been cooking up with influencer and investor Garnett Harriman, the Innovation Podcast. We've got a couple of new episodes available with interviews from Garnett's trip to CES, and you can subscribe pretty much everywhere you get your podcasts and listen at theinnovationpodcast.co. On to Bill Burkart. In the first episode with Bill, we had a wide-ranging chat about turning data into stories. This time around, we discuss some real-world examples and peer into the future of data. Hope you enjoy the chat. Let's get to it. Yeah, you mentioned earlier Sephora and Air Canada. You got any other real-world examples of companies using data to tell interesting stories?
Travel sites certainly have a clear opportunity to do that because there's such robust experiences that can be played out. But I think, frankly, some of the work that our team does today for Best Buy, and you might think about Best Buy being don't they kind of sell stuff?
Yeah.
Don't they sell metal and things you plug in? Isn't that what they sell? Well, in fact, what they sell, they're selling an experience too.
Sure.
And so the story there is why this combination of visual and audio products actually deliver a complete experience, that you can get the most for your dollar and the most for your entertainment dollar in terms of home entertainment. So the story is around manifesting and improving their customer experience within home entertainment. And by the same token, if you think about the whole experience around telecom, are you buying wireless service? Are you buying, mobile service? What are you buying? What you're actually buying is a way to stay in touch.
Yeah.
And a way to always stay in touch. And so I think the concept of telecom around the story is staying in touch. Around Best Buy, it's around manifesting and improving the entire customer experience. And because what also, if I take Best Buy again, the protagonist at Best Buy might be the complexity. If I want to install a home entertainment unit, what's in store for me? As I want to have an improved, entertainment experience. I need you get somebody to help me,
Right? Someone who knows what they're doing. Yeah.
And the hero in their case is the Geek Squad.
Yeah.
So that becomes the conflict resolution. Wonderful experience, a lot of stuff in boxes. How do I marry those two together? And the Geek Squad becomes the resolution to that conflict.
And it's interesting because Best Buy was kind of written off a few years ago. I had an experience with them recently. I bought an appliance, and it was one of the best experiences I think I've ever had anywhere. And this is not obviously a paid promotion. It was almost out of context though, because you read all the time about brick and mortar kind of coming to an end, and yet there's Best Buy seemingly thriving, relatively speaking.
Oh my gosh, and all you have to do is look at the history of their stock price and see that what they've done over the last years. I would say that they went through a period, as did many electronics retailers, where they were used as the storefront, where people come in and browse, and then they buy on an e-commerce site somewhere for a bargain. And as electronics have become more complex, as the facets of home entertainment have become more inclusive, the value of service that you can get from Best Buy and the value of having a guide to help you decide what could be best for you has become a principal part of their success. And I'm sure price has obviously been an important driver too in volume, but the concept of really having the ability of delivering an amazing service for you to help facilitate, not just facilitate getting like that 70-inch flat screen TV into the trunk of your car somehow, some way.
Right.
but right. I had a recent experience with Best Buy myself, where I bought like a 60-inch television, and the guy was helping me get it to a truck I borrowed, and the guy helping me says, "Boy, you should have got a 70-inch." And like, really?
Yeah, that's funny. So that experience that I had at Best Buy reminded me of the head of William Sonoma said some time ago that it's not Amazon that is killing retailers, it's poor service that's killing retailers. And, the experience I had was one of great service.
There's no question. And by the way, I think the digital channels or the communication channels have an important role in that. And
exactly,
the weaving of the story can begin with what might be a digital experience that includes an ability to chat and an ability to utilize AI-driven chatbots to actually help you.
Yeah.
Help you help yourself.
Right.
And we've certainly put a lot of our investment over the last 18 months in AI to actually deliver a more meaningful experience, a verbal experience that, based on a conversation with a customer, there can be a corresponding relevant response.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect of service that helps you, I think, get prepared for what you would expect to find when you get to a physical location. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it's up to the retailer to make that happen once you're in their physical location.
Right. Kind of following that inverted pyramid, I'm going to ask the broadest question at the end. So, data seems to be coming out of the shadows, and I talked with your colleague Jacques van Niekerk a few times on this podcast, and we joke that he made the comparison that data is kind of like oil, and I said, well, the only thing is that in 50, 60, 70 years we're going to run out of oil, but we're never going to run out of data. So where do you think we're headed with data?
The wave right now is absolutely on the side of more, not less.
Yep.
And what I believe will push to force the ebb in data is the looming, privacy regulations that we see. We are our data installations that we maintain for our clients are GDPR compliant, mm-hmm. Which governs European data, but there's looming legislation in California that's very close to GDPR. So we recognize that that's going to happen. That will cause somewhat of an ebb in the flow of digital data. But at the same time, all the massive new devices that are being created are also generating, more data.
Yeah.
That's actually first-party data being generated. So I think the concept of having a way in which pipes can be created to better, more quickly manage that data within our installations today. We're streaming data. As data is being generated by a consumer, we actually think about it's going directly from you to the tank of your car, if I can use the oil analogy.
Yeah,
and
right.
And it's kind of it's not going through it's at the refinery now, we'll get back to you in 30 days.
Yeah.
And then finally it gets on that truck, and the truck gets to the station and fills the tank. No, it's like the data you're generating data, we're ingesting immediately and then responding to it in some way. And those big pipes that have to affect that and make that real are those pipes that we build and manage today. But the pipes have to get bigger to manage that.
Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure having you here. Hope you have a good stay in Omaha, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks to Bill for being here. Next time, Jeremy Goldman will be in the hot seat discussing the future of marketing, so stay tuned. This episode of Confessions of a Marketer was written, produced, and edited by yours truly. T. Jordan of A-Class Productions wrote the theme music. Confessions of a Marketer is a trademark of Reed Edwards Global Inc., and this episode is copyright 2019. I'm Mark Reed Edwards. See you next time.